So, hello everyone. This is Alpesh Parmar, your host at Wealth Matters, and I have the opportunity to welcome Mr. David Sewell from Belize Cacao Consortium on the call. Welcome, David.
Hi, Alpesh. Thank you very much for having me on.
How are you doing today?
Really well. We have a good internet connection here. I'm at home in Panama. It's not pouring rain, so all's well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that it's hard to get internet connection after some time, and that was the problem we had this morning. But I'm glad we are back.
Absolutely, and if we wait later in the afternoon, it's always raining here. It's rainy season. It's to the tropics, so it's like clockwork, and around 2 p.m. local time, it pours rain for 2 or 3 hours. Then the clouds go away and the sun comes back out. It's a beautiful tropical day, but it does mess up the internet from time to time.
Oh, wow. So, David, do you mind asking me where you are from and how long have you been in Panama?
No, not at all. I'm Canadian.
Oh, okay. You are the neighbor. Okay.
Yeah, born a long time ago, 1950.
Oh, wow.
Central Saskatchewan in Canada, so a farming background. Did my undergraduate degree in biology in the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in Canada. Joined the Navy from the middle of the prairies where you can't see any water, but that's pretty common for prairie people to join the Navy. So I joined the Navy in 1968, and I served as a combat officer and a navigating officer and a bridge watchkeeper in destroyers till 1980. After that, I got an MBA. I got out of the Navy, got an MBA in corporate finance and marketing, and I've more or less, I've been through a few corporate jobs, but realizing that working for a paycheck on Friday wasn't really for me. I've mostly been on my own ever since, having left the country in the early 90s, looking for lower taxes and warmer weather. And I found both by going south, and strangely enough, I went to Southern California the first time. It was definitely warmer, and based on the Canadian marginal tax rates, it was a tax haven for me, even though it.
Oh, California was tax saving for you? Oh, nice.
Back in the old days, in the the 90s, before the Franchise Tax Board took over and ruined everything.
Yes.
But it was a good deal for me then, so I kept going south. And owned a home in Mexico for quite a long time. Spent 5 years in Costa Rica doing a little real estate development. Wandered off to Argentina for a couple of years just to see what it was like down there, and then came back to the U.S. for a short period of time. My wife and I moved to Panama in 2007, so we're coming up 11 years now, and we've been here ever since.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. So, how do you compare Panama to, let's say, U.S. or Canada? I have heard stories that it's not safe. How safe it is out there?
I would tell you that it's safer than probably 90% of the major cities in the United States of America.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No
I'm coming there.
Yeah, you come and visit us, and then you'll know. But I've never had a concern with personal safety, not once. Okay. You can go to the bank here and withdraw cash, and you feel comfortable getting into your car and driving away. There's no. If you're in the wrong neighborhood in the middle of the night, and you've been drinking heavily and you're wearing a $10,000 watch, well, you might wake up in the morning without it, but that'll happen in every major city in Canada.
Yeah, that's everywhere in the world, not even just U.S. Right?
So safety, personal safety, and corporate business safety, and the rule of law and ownership of land and all of those things are equally as comfortable, if not more so, than the United States. And, of course, the taxation system is considerably more friendly here than it would be in Canada or the United States.
Got it. Wow. Okay. So I just wanted to let everyone who is listening this webinar later that we are recording this in September of 2017. And I am actually planning to visit Panama as well as Belize in January of 2018. So if anyone is interested in joining me in that tour, please reach out. and of course, I'll be starting another group to discuss about this opportunity. Okay, nice to know about Panama. I would definitely. I have never been there, so would definitely love to explore.
Yeah, we call it here when I speak at investment conferences. I tell people that Panama is a halfway house for gringos. What I mean by that is it's an easy place to come to because everything's in feet and pounds and inches and miles and yards and the U.S. dollar is the local currency, so it's English is widely spoken in the cities and in most of the rural areas. So it's an easy place to come to, and it's 40 to 60% cheaper than living in North America.
Oh wow! Okay, wow, that's a big difference. Wow, and I didn't know about the language, so yeah, thanks for letting me know. I thought I needed to know Spanish or something. Okay, English. That's good.
It's very
nice.
very useful to be able to converse in the language of the country you're visiting, and that's a
yes.
nice thing to be able to do. But it's not mandatory because of the number of tourists that are here and the number of people that live here that are expats. You can get along completely without Spanish, but it's, in my opinion, discourteous to the local people to not be able to speak some of their language. And the further you get afield into the rural areas and off into doing business with smaller businesses, then you'll need the language or somebody that can help you with the language, whereas the large corporations and the large banks and the large hotels and all of the tourism industry for guides and things like that they're bilingual.
Got it. So, 11 years, huh? And what did you start doing? How did you get started?
I did nothing for 5 years. I decided that at 57 in 2007 that it was time to retire, and my wife and I decided to come to Panama with our cat, and we did virtually nothing for 5 years. We watched the country, we learned the country, we traveled extensively in the country. We didn't leave the country for the first 4 years we were here. There were so many things to do and see and learn, so we had a great time doing that. And then after 5 or 6 years, there was time to put some things together to keep me busy more than anything else. And I originally met a group of people in Colombia that were busy investing in the specialty coffee business in Colombia, which was a nascent industry there. Colombia is obviously a large producer of commercial coffee, very large, but they're not particularly involved in the specialty business. So I consulted to them on the financing side of their business opportunity, and we placed an awful lot of people into coffee farm parcels in Colombia beginning in 2012. After they had done that business for a couple of years, they had acquired all the farms they thought were necessary and placed all the parcels and raised the capital that they needed for the next few years. So there wasn't that much for me to do as a finance consultant to them after the fact. So my partner and I, Darren Doyle, who also lives in Panama and has been here for 5 years, he's Irish from Dublin, decided that we would do the same thing here in Panama. The business model that we're operating right now is the one I created for the people in Colombia. It was successfully proven to be attractive to people that want to diversify their portfolio into hard, real assets that are offshore in a commodity or in a product that is a specifically low supply, high demand product like specialty coffee. So that got proven quite nicely in a couple of years. We started doing the same thing here in 2014, and now International Coffee Farms has 10 coffee farms here in Boquete, Panama.
So, I like that business model, and to let everyone, the listeners know that I did invest in a coffee farm in Panama even before visiting Panama, just by talking to Darren and understanding how their business works, I got interested. But before I do the cacao, I do want to tour both the places. So I'll be doing some due diligence. So if listener, many of you cannot join me on the tour, I'll be doing the due diligence for myself and everyone else as well in January. So it gives everyone ample time to decide if they can join me or not, or at least do their own research.
We'd be very happy to have you lead a private tour, Alpesh. We'd be very happy to do that. And the good news for the due diligence part is once you understand the coffee business and the business model here, the Belize Cacao Consortium business model is virtually the same. It has the same benefits, the same features, the same socially sustainable effort going on with the local people in Belize. It substantially is replace the word coffee with cacao and replace the word Panama with Belize and hit the print button, and you just about have the deal.
Yep. No, I see that. Even the websites are so similar.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I agree. So now let me ask you another question. So why Belize and why cacao, and how did you land into that from coffee?
But 2 years ago, I started to think that I wanted to diversify the company. Specialty coffee was working very well. The business model functions very well. We had acquired a number of farms here. So everything was cooking along nicely. And I had been quite aware of the cacao business in Belize for a few years. I wanted to add to the business opportunity there, let's say to diversify there, because the fundamentals of supply and demand in specialty coffee are significant. There's very low supply of specialty coffee and a very high and increasing demand for specialty coffee, as you can see by the lineups of people outside the Starbucks stores and all the other stores that are selling specialty coffee. The same exists in cacao, only more difficult, more how would I put it, much less supply, much lower supply, much irregular supply than demand. The demand for cacao, which of course is the base ingredient in chocolate, never mind all chocolate, just chocolate candy, all kinds of chocolate bars, but also specialty chocolate as well, the very high-end bars you'll pay big bucks for in the store. All of that comes from a cacao pod. The demand for chocolate as a healthy addition to your food intake is important. It's becoming a very how would I say, in-demand product around the world, particularly as people grow their economies and come out of a lower status as an economy, weaker economies that are not as well put together as industrialized nations. But chocolate is becoming a very popular item in these countries that have billions of people. So the demand is huge and growing very rapidly for the base ingredient, chocolate, which is cacao. And the cacao supply is very, 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 very limited when it comes to specialty cacao. So it's a pretty obvious business opportunity to be able to increase the supply of cacao, specialty cacao, make sure that supply is the highest quality possible, make sure that cacao is regularly supplied to the chocolate makers around the world and is at a price that is compatible with their business model needs and our needs to make a profit. So that's where Belize came from. I also have some good relationships in the investment world with people that are active in Belize and have been building resorts and other real estate developments there. So I knew about Belize many, many years ago, how fast it was growing as a tourism destination, how fast the airlines are adding flights to Belize, how many airlines are adding more service every week. It's a rapidly growing tourism base. So all things being equal and adding up to a positive, Belize was almost a no-brainer.
Nice. And I do know about the folks you are talking about. Actually, I have invested in that Mahogany Bay Villas Resort as well.
Well, that's good to know because, as you know, the one of the Belize Cacao Consortium is a vertically integrated company, and we can talk about each piece. But it has a farming section where we own 3 cacao farms now, 107 acres, and are growing our own cacao. We have a trading company there that buys wet beans from already existing local farmers and processes them, ferments them, and dries them through our own proprietary depot. And a third leg on the table is a retail outlet, wholesale and retail outlet, kitchen and store in the Mahogany Bay Village in the downtown part of the Hilton Resort. So it all fits nicely together.
Yeah, I've heard about that. So how does that relationship work? Do you guys pay for the store, or you guys give a discount, or how does that pan out?
How does it pan out for who? Did you?
For you guys and Mahogany Bay Village, the resort. I think the real estate guys.
It's an arm's length relationship between Mahogany Chocolate Limited, which is the company that is part of the Belize Cacao Consortium. Mahogany Chocolate Limited has a 5-year lease on a building in the downtown part of the Mahogany Bay Village. So we're a tenant of the resort, and we will provide to the guests eventually in the 305 rooms that will be in this resort, a retail facility where they can come and buy chocolate, everything, all kinds of truffles and pralines and chocolate drinks and chocolate treats, and it's a whole retail store with a kitchen, a first-class 5-star kitchen in the back that we will hold chocolate-making classes in, and we can demonstrate all of the intricacies of turning a cacao pod into an artisanal, handmade piece of chocolate that melts in your mouth. That all happens in the retail store. We also have a wholesale contract, which is important to investors to understand. And this wholesale contract allows us to provide pillow truffles to the resort. So every day at 4 o'clock or so, everybody in each of these 305 rooms will receive 2 or more chocolates, depending how many people are staying in the room, 2 or more of our chocolates on their pillow, 7 days a week, 305 rooms every day for 5 years, renewable. Well, that's a heck of a contract to support the Mahogany Chocolate business.
Okay.
That comes from our long-term relationship with the real estate guys.
Yes. You got to build that, yeah.
Yep, takes time.
Yep, and that's what I learned about you guys first about 6 months ago, and then I have been following you guys for a while, before I decided to invest. I think a couple of months ago is when I did my first coffee farm, first parcel of coffee farm as well. So how do you, one more question on Panama and Belize, how do you compare Panama and Belize, the similarities, the differences?
The differences are Panama is entrepreneurial.
Okay.
Belize still is government controlled. They don't believe in the idea of they are government organized monopoly in pretty well everything, and you know what government monopoly controlled businesses are run like. So that's one of the problems with Belize. It needs to become more entrepreneurial and let some of these businesses go to the private sector who can run them a whole lot better than the government can. Panama has taken care of all of that, and all the privatization that's necessary has been done here, and it's easier to do business here than it is in Belize. Belize has a central bank as well, and their central bank is intrusive. Let me put it that way. And they spend a lot of time monitoring things that are really only required because the rules in the United States for FATCA and FBAR are so tight with respect to money laundering and the transmission of funds for narcotics and things like that. So the banking system there is hamstrung by these regulations, as is Panama and lots of other places. But they also have a central bank in place, and that makes it a bit more problematical because you got to jump through a bunch of hoops there, and it takes time. And so time is not a big deal in Belize. Things are going to happen when they happen. You get through doing what you need to do. You get your central banking approvals in place. You get your bank set up. You get your bank account set up. You get your corporations done. You get to learn how to deal with the customs guys and the immigration people when you're shipping in goods and when you're shipping in equipment and when you're shipping out product. So all these things are more difficult in Belize than they are in Panama. Let me put it that way. It's not a cakewalk in Panama either. Panama has its ups and downs too, but generally it's much more entrepreneurial, much less invasive government, so you can do things more quickly here. Having said all of that, from a business point of view, having invested a considerable amount of money now in Belize, in the Belize Cacao Consortium, and in 3 farms of 107 acres and a fermentation and drying depot that's our own proprietary depot that's brand new, state-of-the-art, can handle 60 metric tons of cacao, which, by the way, is all the cacao that was shipped out of Belize 2 years ago. So we're right up there. And then we have the retail store. So having said all of that and done all of that, we have a significant barrier to entry to other people that might want to come and copy our business model or compete with us. So it's a pretty good business now that we're in business in Belize and we have all this experience. Follow me?
Yes, I am. No, that's interesting. That's really, that shows that you have done your research and have done enough work there in both the countries.
Boots on the ground is extremely important.
Yes.
People think that they might be able to do this, but it takes we spent a lot of time and effort in Belize getting all of our ducks in a row. We've been in Panama. We've lived here a long time, so we understand the culture, speak the language, and been doing the coffee for a considerably longer time, since 2014. So we have our ducks in a row here as well. But we also have we're also privileged to have a very, very solid team of local Belizean people and local Panamanian people on either side of the coin. And we're up to, I think, in the order of 80 people that are influenced by us. Translate that as to getting paid every Saturday. And
nice.
Their families and everybody else are well supported. We have a good crew of people that really understand the business, the coffee business in Panama, and our Panamanian understand the system, and the same in Belize. So that group of people are critical. The team of people are critical to the success of the business, and time in and boots on the ground are the only way to get that done.
No, I think it's a feel-good business as well, the way you mentioned. You're supporting family, and it's coffee and chocolate, I think, are not going away.
No, I don't think they're going away ever.
Yeah, ever. Yeah.
Sustainability
no one
program.
Can live without.
No, that the coffee, chocolate, maybe a little red wine, and it's about everything you need.
Yep. So now, can we talk about the opportunity? Again, we don't need to discuss the cost, but what kind of returns people are looking at, et cetera, and when does the return start? Like the cash distribution, or how would that work?
The cash distribution will start 15 to 18 months after people fund their personal purchases. That's the same in coffee and the same in cacao. Specifically for cacao, there are 3 revenue streams that are appropriate. One is from farming, which we need to develop by buying raw land, planting cacao plants, and then growing them for 3 years to produce the pods that will produce the cash flow. So that has already happened. The lands have been acquired, the farms are planted, and the little baby trees are growing away happily. So the cash flow from that part will kick in year 3. But the immediate cash flow I just mentioned comes from the trading operation, where we buy wet beans, cacao beans, from local farmers right off their farms, and we process them by fermenting them and drying them, and then we sell them internationally to chocolate makers. So there's a profit motive there, and the cash flow from that will start to kick in the 15-month period that I just mentioned, as well as the revenue and profits from the mahogany chocolate business in Mahogany Bay Village. That also will accrue to the investors and the parcel owners, and that will begin now. As soon as the resort opens on December 6th of this year, then next year's cash flow will be significant from that operation, and that will be shared. So that's how the cash flow starts up slowly from 2 of the 3 operations, and then kicks in largely with the coffee farm results once the trees are producing pods in 3 years. So that starts there. The overall internal rate of return, or the average annual yield, if you want to call it that, is somewhere in the order of 11 or 12%.
Oh, wow.
That's not day one, but over a period of time, when you do an internal rate of return calculation and you have your slice of time where your revenues are accumulated, discounted at a proper discount rate to reflect the business risk, then you get a number called an IRR, or an internal rate of return. But the easiest way to describe that is an average annual yield, or an average annual interest rate. And that over time is pro forma expected to be in the 11-12% range, starting slowly in the first few years and building up to quite healthy double-digit numbers annually as you go along. Once you get this system kicked in, these farms grown, and you're producing more and more cacao every day, you're processing more and more cacao and bringing on more and more chocolate makers around the world to buy your beans, and the resort in Mahogany Bay is running at full tilt, 305 rooms, and everybody paying $400 a night for the room, they can afford lots of expensive chocolate.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. No, so that's awesome. And how long do these trees last? Is there a life that, okay, I'm gonna get payment for 10 years, 20 years, and then it's done, or how does that work?
Well, it is intended to be a legacy investment. So it's not intended for farm flippers. Anybody that wants in and out in 3 years, it's just not appropriate for you. You should really think about this as a minimum of a 5 to 8 year program before you start to really feel the good solid returns on your capital.
Yes.
From there on in, it should last as a legacy investment for your heirs if you want to do it that way. Of course, you own the land. You can do what you want with it when you want. After our minimum 3-year hold requirement, we try to force you to stay in the business long enough to at least get some return on your capital. This is nature. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But you can do what you wish at the end of the day with the property. But the trees will last 25 to 40 years just by maintaining them properly, by pruning them and feeding them and caring for them and loving them and hugging them every day. They'll come out. They'll produce for you. It's nature. They know what to do. They know how to do it. It's not like having tenants in your multifamily home where they move out in the middle of the night with your furniture. These guys show up every morning to go to work, make their pods, grow their stuff, and they don't ask for a raise, or they don't ask for anything to come from you. So you don't have to fix the toilets or anything else. It's our tenants are trees. And they're around forever. We can take the trees down as they get old, plant new trees beside them, and continuously perpetuate a farm. So the farm could arguably last forever.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, because when I purchased my first parcel of coffee, I thought, okay, this is going to be for my kids. I want this legacy to stay. Because rental investment is also very great, but that you turn it around, right? So this is what I was hoping
with
for.
Reinvestment. Yeah, there's a problem with reinvestment. With a legacy investment, once you got it in there, you got it done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It can just keep producing. And if you do sell something, the problem is trying to find a reinvestment vehicle that can pay you as much money as the one you just got out of, and that's not always easy to do.
Yep. So, one more question on the. So this is totally passive, then, right? You investors don't have to do anything other than buy the land and then just keep getting paycheck after let's say 15, 18 months.
Yeah, we like to joke that you can come down and pick the cherries in the coffee farms, and you could come down and hack the pods off the trees in 90-degree weather and 90% humidity. In the bright sunlight, but you probably don't want to do much of that, so it is truly a passive income. That's correct. There's a turnkey management team in place in both countries, one to run cacao and me, and as I said, there's a combination of 80 people, from the youngest farmer swinging a machete clearing the land in Belize through to the most experienced coffee farmer we can find, that is Andres Lopez, who has been in the business for 30 years and understands agricultural products and farming like there's no other. And everybody else, to our executive chocolate maker who's been 15 years in the business of making chocolate and knows chocolate worldwide. It's a very competent team of people that, like I said, is combined in maybe 75, 80 people at the moment.
Awesome. So I think this would be my last question, and this would require much more time, hopefully. What are the risks here? Can this tree get a fire? Can the tree get some bugs or infestation? How is the team structured so that if something happens to you or Darren, investors do not suffer? Can you talk more about the risks?
Yeah, the risks for the trees are what they call a pod rot. It's a monilla is the name of it. It's something that can grow on the tree because they're in hot, humid environments, and things like this grow in hot, humid environments. And there's insects that can damage the trees if you leave them alone too long. There are also a whole lot of other insects that are necessary for the fertilization, the pollination of the trees, so you need to manage your insect population carefully. It's all done organically in Belize, so that there's no spraying and things like that. The pod rot and the insect population can be mitigated very easily by simply pruning your trees and clearing your land. And that's all you really got to do is get out there and swing a machete a lot, clear your land, keep it clean, keep the soil in good shape, and prune your trees. That allows wind and water and all kinds of sunlight and all kinds of other things to hit your trees, and then your trees they stay healthy and none of these bad things happen. Coffee is the same way. If you maintain your farm, you're going to have zero problems. We have no insect problems here that are long-term because we take care of them, and we have no other problems with the rust or any other problems where you might hear about in the press, where other countries have unfortunately not been as good at handling that problem. But Panama in general has been very good at handling that problem, and we at International Coffee Farms are excellent at handling the problem. So it doesn't catch on. So there are very few problems that come that way that aren't mitigated by the team that knows exactly how to grow coffee and grow cacao. So we can more or less eliminate those things from the business risk. The other risk is the team. I lead the team at the moment. I'm busy creating a large group of competent executives below me that are very capable of running the business. In fact, way more capable than I am when it comes to the direct operations of the business. My skills and abilities are finance. I've recently promoted Darren to president of the company. We have put both companies together in Belize and Panama for management purposes, and we have a very experienced agricultural vice president. His name is Andres Lopez. We have a very competent food and distribution vice president who is Armando Chaco, who is Belizean, who runs the chocolate business in Belize. We have a very experienced Belizean businessman with lots and lots of background in business, very well connected in the country, as our executive vice president. And we have a very strong Belizean as our VP of operations that handles all of the small operational stuff that is not agricultural or chocolate that we have to get done. So that team, 5 or 6 very strong people all working together, support me 100% of the time and would very easily carry on in the unfortunate incidents should I not be here. And I'm not planning on that by any means.
Yeah, I know you are not.
Life is what happens when you're making other plans, though, right?
No, this is great. I think I got what I needed to. Do you have anything else I may have forgotten about?
I don't think so. If anybody in your audience is going to hear this and will be at the New Orleans Investment Conference, it's being held in New Orleans, Louisiana, October 25th to the 28th. We will be there and have quite a large presence, corporate presentations, a big double booth, and a big fancy cocktail party on Friday night that you can come to and enjoy. So we'll be there if anybody is attending the New Orleans Investment Conference. So that's the most recent. That's the next event on our calendar.
Yes, I was actually thinking about it, but I have to be back here by Thursday. So we'll see. I was talking to Darren that does it make sense for me to be there for a day? So we'll see.
If you do come for a day, the day would be Friday.
Oh yeah, see, Friday I have to be here.
Yeah,
so
it probably wouldn't make sense otherwise. Our day is Friday with our presentations and everything else.
Oh,
our booth will be open on Thursday and Saturday, but Friday would be the best day. And if you're compromised for that day, then maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. Or I can always hang out with you guys for a day.
Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, so I will figure that out. But yeah, thank you so much, David, and all the listeners who are whoever is watching the webinar. As you heard from David so well, I'm planning a tour to Belize and Panama in January, and I'll start my due diligence now. If anyone is interested to invest with me in coffee or chocolate farms, please feel free to reach out to me. You have also seen the websites. I was clicking around, so hope this was helpful. Thank you so much, David. Have a good one.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for the time.
Take care. Bye.